Great. Yep. So hello, I'm Michelle Ansell from Douglas Jackson, and we help hire more impactful leaders who stay for longer and are more successful. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Emma Dark in the Impact Room. Emma is presently the Director of Customer Experience and Operations at Cuckoo, and has also worked for brands including the White Company and Asos, as well as being the Chief Customer Experience Officer for Sullivan and Stanley. Emma was voted 2022 and 2023 CXFO Power 100, which recognises the contributions within the CX and the contact centre industry. And Emma is very active across the customer contact and CX community. Many of you may have seen Emma presenting both the Employee Experience and the Customer Experience Awards, or as a judge for the UK National Contact Centre Awards and the EXAs, which is the European Contact Centre and Customer Service Awards. Emma, hello. Lovely to see you again today. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, very good, Michelle. Good to be here in the Impact Room. That was a mouthful for having to do the intro for me then.
There's just too much to say, too many accolades. Before we get started on the questions, can I just check in with you, because your background, did you start as an early career in the customer contact centre? Have you built your career up from there, have you?
Yeah, my first job in kind of paid full-time job was in a contact center back in '99, so a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was the first kind of purpose-built contact center of its time, actually, for a telecoms company. So yeah, I started in contact centers. I had worked in retail, whilst I was in university and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, contact centers is where it all began.
Yeah, very interesting. Good. Okay, then. So as we've alluded to in the introduction, you've gathered a wealth of experience across both customer contact as well as sort of customer experience and customer service, as well as I mentioned, that Chief Customer Experience Officer title. So what do you see as the primary differences between those roles, Emma?
Yeah, so I guess there's a lot of crossover because customers involved in all of it, right?
Yeah.
But I suppose, the easiest way to describe it, the customer service director role, in my experience, has been much more on the reactive side of things. So definitely not entirely that, but focusing on post-purchase or just looking at the end of the journey when the services are live. So tends to be more operational, doesn't kind of withstand looking for continuous improvement and kind of strategic improvements within the customer world. But that would be, kind of how I would summarize that. And then if you focus on customer experience, then the kind of directors that have that portfolio tend to be more end to end. So that tends to be more about, kind of journey mapping, looking at the service design, the blueprints for experiences before they go live, really walking in the shoes of the customer, using the data and insights to kind of help the organization kind of be thoughtful in the experience that the customer has when doing business with you, whatever kind of industry you're in. So much more on the front end of things, and helping build the intentional experiences, but then also measuring, using those journey maps with like pain points, and the data that's been kind of overlaid to make sure that you kind of continuously go back and look at empathy mapping and all of that kind of stuff, so that you continuously improve. And so, a much more theory-based kind of lens on it, using data and insight rather than reactive in the moment and operational, really. And then the Chief Customer Experience Officer, I suppose, again, encompasses probably a bit of both, actually. So, kind of tending to look after the strategic practitioner element of customer, as well as then how that kind of plays out in the coalface, through the business or the operational teams, depending on the context of where you work in. So lots of crossover, but I think, kind of proactive, reactive, and then overseeing both of those aspects when it comes to the Chief Customer Experience Officer. And I think different businesses, carve it up differently, which, you'll know firsthand, and, whether the remit is having the data team, or whether it's having the marketing team as well. Some have the sales aspect under there. So that chief customer experience officer does differ in different organizations, but the customer experience director and customer service director tend to be pretty kind of similar format. Sometimes just the reporting line is different, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for taking me through that. And certainly we've seen a sort of trend from the rebrand, let's say, of the customer service director of customer experience, and customer experience director is far more popular now than it used to be. And as you say, I mean, that chief customer experience officer roles can be quite different, and I'm not sure everyone in the sector knows that, because everyone sort of sometimes has a sight on that role, but that role can be very different to, CS and CX, dependent on the business, as you've alluded to, really.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Good. Okay, thank you. So many people, as we've talked about, might know you already from, you being, I'll say, a very accomplished award host with Awards International. And I know, as we've said, you're very active with the other awards in the industry, as well as sort of female leadership communities as well. Why do you take the time to do this, and what do you see as the benefit for you and for others?
Yeah, so I guess I've grown up in the customer kind of community, and I'm so proud to be part of it. I've made some friends along the way. I've managed to be, kind of the pleasure of having amazing experiences myself in the industry. But I genuinely feel, Michelle, that I feel like I belong to a community. And I feel really supported and inspired by that community. So I get so much out of it, really. I think it's in my DNA. It's something I've always done and continue to do, because I think our sector, and the community that we're part of, the customer community is just full of great people, and I love being part of it. So I get energy from it, I learn from it, and I feel that if I'm whatever role I'm in, whatever business I'm in, whatever challenge I'm facing, I feel like I can reach out to that community and just get some support as needed. I love watching people succeed and reach their potential. So the awards particularly, it just is the best feeling, when you see on the awards night, when people come up to the stage, and get the accolade for all of the hard work that they've put in. And I learned so much from the judging process as well. I think it's really important, no matter how long you've been in the industry, that you remain humble. There's so much talent coming through. And I think it's important that, for me, I feel like it's important you just keep your pencil sharp, really, and continue to listen and to be humble and to keep learning about it. It doesn't matter if you've done it for, 25 plus years. I think it's about, it's evolving constantly. Data is becoming more important and insightful, and the technologies are evolving. And, there's some incredible case studies that you get exposed to when you get involved in these events, whatever side of the table you're on, really. And I think that's why it's really important, and I love it. It's something that has helped me grow and develop. It's something that's helped me stay grounded, and it's, for me, part of my self-learning and self-development, and definitely keeps me completely interested in being a customer champion.
Yeah, all great points, I think. And I think, that I, as you know, have also been involved in sort of the judging, and I wholeheartedly concur and agree. I mean, whilst I don't do the job that you all do, I am not a customer experience or service director, but the community is such a fantastic one. And as you say, it's always a highlight in my calendar, and just to hear the stories and understand how things work and the different challenges. And as you say, I mean, because again, I speak to so many leaders, that don't have this external view, and you can become, it's like being in an echo chamber, isn't it? You don't know what you don't know, and when you're only surrounded by the same people and the same challenges, are you really sort of thinking outside and sort of bringing the best to the table. I think it's a missed opportunity for some people, definitely.
I think so, and also you have to make time for it because we are all busy, and so therefore, it's not something that you have to be intentional about it, and you have to make time, and it's about then looking at what's out there and choosing the things that are going to give you the greatest benefit for whatever time you're going through in work and the problems you're trying to face and challenges you're trying to overcome. I think it's about just being really smart about how you use that time. But I encourage my team constantly, whatever team I've been part of, to do that, because I think it also helps you be innovative and bring in things back into the organization. As you say, if you're constantly looking in and not out, then you're going to fall behind in the customer world without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially as well for more junior team members, I bet it's really good for their, it builds confidence as well. Yeah, and really sort of helps round them, in terms of what they're exposed to. Yeah, great. And you've also shared with me, I mean, as I said, highly accomplished host, and you do look and do a great job, and I know you do with a co-host sometimes with Ian as well. But you have shared with me in the past about, whilst you might look and come across extremely well on the stage, it's not always how you feel or have felt. Are you happy to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I remember the first time I was asked to co-host. My initial response was, well, who's dropped out? And some of these awards, you have celebrities on the stage, and again, I guess it's such an honor to be asked, and to me, it feels like a big responsibility as well, right? Because you're representing the industry, and and for me it's a big job, and you take it seriously. Whilst I'm really bubbly, and people that know me well will know that I'm certainly not shy by any stretch of the means, but actually amongst lots of people, I'm sure, definitely have imposter syndrome. And when it comes to things like being the center of attention, then unless I've got a drink inside me, then that's which you can't do when you're doing these awards, because that could end in a disaster. Then the confidence isn't really there, if I'm honest. And so that imposter syndrome and that inner kind of negative naggy voice, comes into play. And I'm sure we've all felt it at different times, different situations, and it comes in waves and goes. And you kind of learn as that one benefit of getting older is you just learn how to tame that imposter syndrome and to have a conversation with it almost, so it doesn't get in your way. But that's the reality. And I think the older I'm getting as well, the more I overthink things. I think that definitely for me, that's coming with age. I definitely overthink things more than I used to. But what I love about, I face the fear and do it anyway though, Michelle, because, ultimately, as I said earlier, all this talent is coming through. I won't be asked forever to do it. And therefore, I want to take the opportunity whilst, the industry feels that I'm current and I can represent all of us. So I wear that badge with honor. It's never about me and my personal brand. It really isn't. Of course, you build it when you do it, but I don't do it for me. Honestly, I do it for the people that put together the awards, and I do it for the industry because it's given me so much. If I'm asked to give back, then I'm never going to say no to that.
Yeah. Again, really important. And thanks for sharing. But I think so many of us and people that are listening, they may have opportunities and they're not wanting to face that fear because it is so daunting. And I know myself, I've been asked a few times now in recent years to talk at various events. You've seen me at one of them.
Yes,
and oh my God,
you did amazing.
I was just so like, honestly, I'm like, what do people want to hear from me for? And I was feeling sick and everything, really so nervous and worried about it. But like you, I think who gets these opportunities, and you know, we should be proud to be asked. And if we've got something relevant, if it affects just one person, I think then that's as good as you can do, really. And as you say, it should be an honor. But I think more people get, if they can start getting, you know, comfortable with being uncomfortable, because I think that's when the truly wonderful stuff happens. You know, I don't think you'll ever get that if you sort of closed off to it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And actually you grow as a person when you face into those things. I mean, you know, people talk about, you know, coming out of your comfort zone, and that doesn't work for everyone, right? So if it's not something that you want to do, that's okay too, you know. But I think you know, I think it definitely keeps me grounded because it allows me to kind of combat that imposter syndrome and get through it. And the euphoric feeling when you get to the other side of it is great as well, because you have overcome a personal fear by actually focusing your energy on everyone else and thinking, you know, not worrying about you, actually remembering that you're there for the individuals that have turned up, you know. And some people have come to the awards, they've never been to an awards ceremony. You know, there's all sizes of organizations and all different shapes of change and initiatives that they're working on. And so actually I think it's really helpful to be selfless in that situation and allow doing it for them to take over this negative person that's attacking you. You think, well, actually, I'm not listening because this isn't about me. So therefore, I'm going to put all my energy into the people in front of me. So yeah, I think it's something that allows you to really remain current as well.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And when talking about sort of events, we were both, I think it was the CXPA event last year in London. And again, you told me a story which I think is important for the industry, because you've obviously took the time to get your CCXP accreditation, which, you know, is perhaps something else again in the CX sector with its image and sort of accreditation, professionalisation, etc. But you'd had an interaction with somebody, hadn't you, about that sort of CCXP. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So I was working for an organization, and I had the opportunity to meet someone from the global team that was pretty senior in the HR PX space. And at the end of the conversation, it was like, well, we must connect on LinkedIn. Great. So you know, said person then proceeded to try and, you know, look me up on LinkedIn, and then kind of made the comment around, oh, you know what, why have you got CCXP at the end of your name? Is it because there's loads of Emma Darks here? So it took me by surprise, first of all, thinking, oh, was it a joke kind of thing? And then I felt a bit disappointed, because ultimately, obviously, the CCXP represents the practitioner accreditation that I've attained. That was really hard work in terms of just the application of it, and then the exam, and then, you know, you have to maintain the occupational competence in order to evidence the fact that, you know, you're still demonstrating those practitioner kind of skills in your day job. So so it really made me think, well, actually, okay, fair enough, it's not a widely known accreditation, so therefore, you know, said individual, you know, was coming from a good place and just genuinely not knowing that. But it did make me think that, you know, something I've definitely experienced, you know, from when I started off in contact centers, you know, back in the day, as I said earlier, is that often people can, you know, imply that customer experience or customer service isn't a specialized skill. And I think because we're all consumers, everyone's got an opinion on what good service looks like, and therefore everyone is an expert, and so it's not a skill. It's because, you know, and I've seen it over the 25 years, really, that perception of people that work in contact centers or customer service, very low skilled, not very academic. So yeah, I disagree with that clearly, because I've made a living and love working in the industry in that very space. But so I think, yeah, it was an interesting moment for me, really. And I wonder, you know, whether there is a perception out there around CX and customer service that needs to evolve.
Well, it's certainly, as we know, a maturing function, isn't it? And if you look at the C-suite, every business has, like, you know, the CFO, the CRO, or sales, CSO, you know, CMO, COO, you know, and they've all got their various accreditations that they might have. But as you say, I mean, CX has not yet, not one that's universally accepted or known, really. I mean, there's a few, aren't there? Which, yeah, I mean, hopefully, I think as the function continues to mature, let's hope that changes. But I mean, do you think that there is anything else that we could do to sort of raise the image and the understanding of CX and to professionalize the function in the industry?
I guess there's more people kind of talking about it. I think just in terms of the, you know, you don't have to justify it to the world, but I guess telling more stories really about, you know, not making it sound so easy, because getting it right, customer experience, that isn't easy, you know. And you know, we hear stats about how in customer service index, you know, right now, where, you know, customer service is at its lowest, right? And you know, you hear all of those things. So I think as an industry and as leaders in the industry, we need to do a better job of maybe sharing success stories with the community and the industry, just to understand, you know, the effort and the methodologies and the ways in which we are delivering great experiences, and how others can learn from that. I think would be the, you know, rather than rally everyone around to say that you must have this accreditation or you're not worthy. I think it's more about, you know, we can change the perception of making it look easy, because, you know, I think that it's not, and there's more to be done, right? And you know, it's really challenging with all the technology, and you know, the kind of constant battle of removing cost, and utilizing the technology to replace some of that cost, which, you know, has its place. But yeah, we're so busy doing things. I mean, maybe we don't bring it to life enough, and maybe we don't, where we feel it's the experiences are not great, maybe we don't do enough to come together to support one another for helping to turn that round. So rather than just point at someone and say, oh, they're not very good, you know, within the industry, how do we kind of lean into people that are having a tough time at the minute, and just say, you know, what are some of the things you can do to kind of start to turn the dial on that, really, rather than the glory of and the gladness of not being the one that's getting the bad press for bad experience. Let's fix it together, really.
Yeah. Again, great points. And I think ultimately, as you say, I think it was Fred Astaire. He said, "If it doesn't look easy, I haven't tried it hard enough." And that's the point, isn't it? I think, you know, when it does go seamlessly, it does work. A lot of things have had to come together to make that work. And we know, you know, it's not customer service or customer experience teams that are creating the demand and the issues. It's everywhere else in the business. Yet they're not accountable, and yet it is that sort of everyone just puts on the CS and CX team, well, drive down costs, you know, reduce the complaints, you know. And I think if we as an industry maybe can get a little bit tougher perhaps, and get better allies, you know, with our counterparts in finance, in sales, in marketing, and make them responsible or accountable for the CX as much as we are, not me, sorry, you are, then ultimately I think maybe we might start to get somewhere a little further quicker, really.
I agree, and really, that what you're describing is where, if an organization is truly customer centric, that's what they've achieved, right?
Yeah.
They don't make the responsibility of customer, you know, to sit solely within the customer service experience functions, right? Everyone in the organization has a customer goal. Everyone understands how they, you know, they impact failure demand that you were referring to earlier. And there's, you know, there's accountability that is given cross-functionally across the whole organization. And actually storytelling within the organization and bring in some of the voice of customer to life to show, like walk through the customer journey that has led to that customer that's churned, or the bad experience, or why they have, we can't achieve first contact, whatever the metric is, NPS, CSAT, etc. I think it's about, it's about making sure that the insight team can bring those stories to life and play it back as a customer, just so that, because I think sometimes people in the organization don't realize the impact that they're having downstream to customer. And because culturally, perhaps organizations haven't expected some of those other teams that are non-customer facing to feel responsible or to get involved, then some of it is just naivety of just being blissfully unaware that they can help, and it doesn't have to be a battle. I think sometimes it's just a cultural shift that is really impactful when you empower the whole of the organization and don't just fill their inbox with loads of data and analysis and make it or provide the insight in a format where they can digest it and they get it, it's in the right context. And most people will support you. Everyone wants to feel needed, right, and feel like they're helping. Well, most people do, and so therefore if you go by the reasonable person test, then I think that maybe sometimes it's about starting to ask and going from there.
Yeah, good. So there's something then that I didn't know about you until recently. So the running and also the ultras. So yeah, tell us more about that, and also how it really impacts on your productivity.
Yeah, so I'm definitely, I've got high energy levels, and I need to put those to good use. And I have run probably in the last 10 years on a more serious level, in terms of taking part in events, etc. So yes, I run about 6 marathons now, and I did my first ultra 4 weeks ago. So I did a 50-kilometer, 31-mile race along the Ridgeway here in the UK. So it was amazing. And to be honest, Michelle, I do it for me and my kind of mental kind of health as well. And what I mean by that is just around, I'm busy. I choose roles that stretch me and keep me busy. That's just what, my personality. And it's important to me then to make time to just declutter my mind and to make sure that I create capacity to be able to be innovative and to be creative in what I'm doing day in, day out, because I'm dealing with a lot of detail and a lot of complexity within the customer experience world. If you're doing it properly, you're fixing gnarly problems and getting under the skin of things. So it's me time. It really helps my well-being. It makes me, as I said, declutters my mind. And it means then when I come back into work, I lead with positivity, a bit of an activator in terms of strengths, like to get things done. And actually, for some people, running is their worst nightmare, and it wouldn't give them energy, it would drain them. But actually for me, it refuels me, and it's that sense of being outside, the freedom, the liberation. When I have my best thoughts and thinking when I'm out running, really. And what it also gives me is I like the structure. I like the discipline. So I like having a race to work towards, and the structure that it gives me, and how it kind of gives me kind of consistency and approach. And I make time for it. A bit like I talked earlier, we'll always be too busy, but I make time to network and be part of the communities. I do the same with my running, really. I make time for it because I know that by making time for it, then the business, my people, the people around me, in my personal life will get a better version of me because of the investment I put into doing what I love. And of course, it's got health benefits, but it's less about that for me. It's more about what it does to enrich me as a person, and I love it. I've made great friends, and attained I've got some great medals that are in a box now because I've got too many to hang on the bedroom door. My husband thinks it's going to come off the hinge. I haven't brought myself to get a cabinet to go on the wall because I think good for those that do, but I don't feel the need to do that.
Yeah.
But it's great. And I think, as I said, I'd like to think that, as a leader as well, it motivates my team, right? Because again, we're in a digital age now, and it can all be about being behind the screen, right? And getting lost in social media and having less interaction. So I like to think that I motivate my team by being motivated and positive and try to be healthy as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done you. And I think, again, I think they are really important points because we do get all consumed, don't we? Especially we spend so much time on screens now. And, especially with the lockdown situation, we weren't going out as much. And I think some people have fallen into really bad habits, and we know mental health is an issue. And as you say, it's very easy to be just, I mean, we could work all the hours God sends, couldn't we? We probably still wouldn't get that further along. The world is a demanding place. It's constantly demanding stuff from us. But to take that time out, that then, as you say, gives you that thinking time, and you're probably far more creative and get things done rather than just reacting to stuff when you've got that time and that space, so that you then can be more productive and more successful really in the long run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you would like to add or talk about at all, Emma?
Well, nothing in particular. I guess, yeah, thank you for inviting me on. As I said, Michelle, it's been great to just share some insight. So, and I guess just to say thank you to you and what you do for the industry as well. We've been connected a long time, and even though you've said today that you're not in the coal face, doing the roles we do, then you have an enormous amount of experience about what we do, and you share a lot of insight. So I guess that's the only thing I would close with, is just say thanks to you
Thank you.
for what you do for our industry, which I know you weren't
Oh.
expecting me to say, but I wanted to.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I really appreciate you coming on, because I know you're busy and you've took the time to do so. So I really appreciate that. And I'm sure lots of other people will. There's loads of gems in there. Hopefully they can take from it and learn and, put some things into action that will help them also.
Great.